What's going on, everyone? This is your host, Jeffrey L. Boney, and this is Trending Tuesdays. I want to welcome everybody to the Trending Tuesdays podcast. It's reality politics, culture, news, and a boost of comedy. Of course, I'm the comedian. No, I'm just teasing. Anyway, Trending Tuesdays is a KDITC production taped live in Sunnyside, Texas, Houston, Texas, at the K Davis Showroom Plus. For more information, please visit trendingtuesdays.com. Want to bring in my guest today. We have a lot to talk about, and I want to get right into it. Thank you so much for joining us on today, not only live on the stream, but also those of you in the audience. Make some noise, those in the audience. All right, joining me today to talk about quite a few things are our special guests, powerful Black women based out of Houston, Texas. First and foremost, I'll introduce, starting to my right, in the power blue, we have Dr. Carla Braley. She is a historian, an educator, a policy analyst, and she's with Rice University's Baker Institute, or she's a Rice University Baker Institute fellow and associate professor of sociology at the Texas Southern University. And she is the CEO of Frontrunners SMG, and she's former DNC Interfaith Council co-chair and the former vice chair of the Texas Democratic Party. Let's give her a round of applause. And to my far right, we have someone that probably needs no introduction, but we will. She is a powerhouse in her own right, and she is the former trustee for the Harris County Department of Education. She worked in policymaking positions in federal, state, and local government and the nonprofit sector, and she is the daughter of the late Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. I'm talking about none other than Erica Lee Carter. Let's give her a round of applause. All right, well, let's get right into it, y'all. Thank you for joining us on Trending Tuesdays. And so we got a lot to talk about. Let's talk about, since our last show, there's a lot that has happened. We have had a glass ceiling being broken yet again. And we're talking about the first African-American woman, the first woman who happens to be African-American and of South Asian descent, who accepted the nomination to be the Democratic nominee coming up in the November election. What are y'all's thoughts on that? I'll start with you, Dr. Brady.
I think it's a sign of where we are in currently in this era. I am absolutely very excited because we have a woman who is ready. We have a woman that is not only ready, she's qualified, and I really believe that she has a team that's really focused on policies that matter for the people right now. Just, one of her platforms that I just recently, I think it was the other day, that she talked about putting almost $3 million homes in inventory. So it's one thing to have affordable housing, but it's another to have the actual housing for to be affordable. The glass ceiling, some would say is society ready, but we haven't been ready for a lot of things. What she is going to do, not just symbolically for women, I think the policies that she will be able to work in to really continue to have DEI things that we need. It's a glass ceiling that I won't say will be completely broken, but it will be shattered in some really good ways.
And Erica, our condolences to you on the loss of your mother, who is and I want to talk a little bit more about that later, about you guys' relationship and you being the daughter. But she would have loved to have seen this moment, I know. And so I want to hear your thoughts, though, on what you feel about this Black woman being the nominee and potentially first female president, Black female.
Thank you, Jeff, and everyone for the condolences and all the love and support. This is the culmination of everything my mother worked for her entire life. You know, she was the generation of many glass ceilings and also of many breaks in that ceiling herself in Houston in particular. She was a friend and colleague of Vice President Harris. She knew her power and leadership and her abilities. She saw it firsthand. She believed in her. And whether it was going to be this year or 2028, I think she believed in that future for Vice President Harris. So while she didn't quite see this exact moment, I think she believed in it. And it's so powerful to think if we come together, she will certainly be the first woman president. As a Democrat, I say as a Democrat, we have put 2 women on the ballot to be the president. And I think this one's going to succeed.
Absolutely. Well, I'm, from your lips to God's ears, at least that's my hope.
Yeah.
So, going back though, we hear a lot about breaking the glass ceiling and how, women are seeking to become, at different levels that they've bumped up against that ceiling and have been unable to succeed. And I know I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and they were talking about it, like you said, is society ready? And there was even conversation and thought about actually her having another woman serve as, or at least run with her as vice president. It's like 2 women, no way. And I was like, well, they've had 2 white men for 43 presidents prior to President Obama. So why not two women? And so what are y'all thoughts about other areas and industries? Do you see that this is just the beginning, or this is going to open up doors for other areas, or, it depends on kind of a wait and see type approach?
We're seeing it happening now. That's why she's been positioned where she is. I think some would arguably, state that it should not be her. And if they could, they would, let's be real clear. The elephant is in the room. If some people had their way and had President Biden may have come out earlier, it may look different. But I always say that God always has complete control, even when we don't know. And I think it's a very divine time frame when he actually stated he was not going to run. So the timing was perfect. All funds were going to be transferred could only be transferred to Vice President Kamala Harris. And I think what we're going to see is a continuation that women will continue to work in the background, but women also will continue to push. And they're not going to stop pushing, especially just this particular generation. They're just not accepting some of the things that, I won't say that we've always accepted these subordinate roles, but I think that they know more and they have more resources that we probably didn't quite have, that they can continue to push and ask those questions and make the sacrifices. So I think it's just the beginning of more things to come. And I think you're going to see even some of her appointments, because I'm going to say that she is winning. Some of her appointments you're going to see is going to have even more women than we've had in the past.
You brought up diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, earlier, and I want to come back to that. But Erica, I want to talk about your mom. And a lot of people, talk about Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, and they didn't really know how much of a family-oriented person she was. I mean, it's talked about, but you're her daughter, and so you witnessed it firsthand from beginning to end. And so tell us about, did she even have time for y'all? I'm just saying, because she was so much of a public servant and there for everybody else, from seemingly from morning to night. And, to know how much she loved her family and was beloved by her family. Tell us about those experiences.
Thank you. And I do want to shout out to my dad, Dr. Elwin Lee, who is a good partner to my mother, but she led by example and took me with her. I was under the table at City Council, literally. A lot of people remember that, me going with her. I would go with her frequently on her Friday evening runs when I was a child, to see her leading, to see her serving. A lot of church banquets back then. But she would come see me. She wouldn't miss. She was our speaker many times for MLK Day at my school. She would come, normal things that parents do. Make sure I sit up straight, making me think I need to sit up straight now, and enunciated, encourage me to run for student council. I had to restrain her from getting too involved in my campaign in fourth grade. I said, Mom, this is not that kind of campaign. But she at least gave me advice on my speech for my class. And then as I grew older, she would expand my experiences, like letting my high school come see President Bill Clinton, which all of my classmates remember when I was in high school. And
You were the cool kid.
Yeah. Yes. And so she was able to combine her service with being a mother, and we're very grateful.
Absolutely. And so we're grateful to have had such a phenomenal leader. And we were talking about this earlier before the program came on, Dr. Braley and I, about our leaders and the need for those people to step up, whoever they may be, and the need for a Black agenda. Do you believe that we need a Black agenda? I know back in 2012, there was this meeting, and I was kind of upset that it took the second term of President Obama for these Black leaders from the NAACP and National Action Network and various other groups, Urban League, Mark Morial and them, to come up with a quote unquote Black agenda during the second term. Why not the first term? And where do we stand right now? Because I mean, we're talking about breaking glass ceilings, whether they be Black females or Black people in general. Where is that Black agenda? Erica, you can start.
We absolutely need a Black agenda. Let me tell you, no one else is going to let up, whether it's those who are fighting for deregulation in business or banking or they don't let up. We should not let up. We certainly have not reached the promised land that Dr. King and others spoke about. Our economic equity and wealth gap is still lagging, education gap, so many numbers, racial health disparities. So we need a very strong Black agenda that can directly guide soon to be, hopefully, President Harris and the Congress. If we do right, we'll take back the House, and Leader Jeffries, we need to hand him that Black agenda, give him that pathway, tell them the amendments to make it work for our community, because the other side, they're not letting up.
Yeah.
I'm going to first say ditto.
Okay.
Then second, I would say, yes, we need a collective Black agenda. And I think it's a state of urgency. Every group, I would say, in America has an ask. And I think we cannot have the ask that we need until we come together, understand what that collective agenda is, and make sure that Black people are at the center and be unapologetic and intentional about it. Because everyone goes into those closed doors and make the ask. They have the policy, they have their platform, and we need to have the same thing. And we do not bend. And we make sure that when you come to our community, to Black community, if you're serving as whether it's a political official, whether it's an activist, that you're meeting at the table and be very clear about what are the key points. And we can't, we still have to be strategic, because if we have a list that includes 500 things, then we're not focused. But I think that when we consider economic inequality, when we consider the Black maternal health rates that right now that Black women are at risk trying to birth their children, all of those dynamics, education, things that are key, we need to be very, very clear, because what has happened even in Houston at HISD should not happen if we had a collective agenda, regardless of what party we're in. So absolutely.
Well, a lot of that was driven by those who Black people tend to vote for, Democrat, who led the legislation and to bring that forth, that now we see has pretty much ravished Houston Independent School District and have cost a lot of teachers their jobs, a lot of principals and assistant principals, and a lot of students unable to get transportation now to their respective schools, whether they were going, with this, what did it call it? Open school or open choice, school choice, where they can go wherever they want. And even in their neighborhood schools, I had a parent come up to me the other day who has a special needs child, and they completely removed transportation options for their child. And so they were pleading, like, Jeff, is there something that you can do to help? And I was like, well, I'm not in Houston, but I can try to figure out how to help you get, your daughter, some assistance. And so fortunately for his daughter, he was able to get some assistance, but the collective, is still suffering and unable to have transportation. So to your point, what is that collective Black agenda? Who's driving the train here? Who's quarterbacking this situation? We keep pointing, saying we need, but I know back in the day we had people who were kind of those king and queen makers, if you will, that sat in the room, fleshed it out, probably had, they had some heated discussions back and forth, and then they came out and said, this is where we're going, this is what we're doing. Who is that today?
Interesting. Well, I would say we have some. I would say even Commissioner Ellis is doing some good work in terms of mentor. You got to have mentorship. And mentorship allows for people to be able to make mistakes. You're not going to have a perfect leader. You're not going to have a perfect society. You have to, almost have a quote unquote sponsor that you say, you know what? Yes, in this case, Dr. Braley didn't make all the right decisions, but kind of protection hands off, and not hands off if someone is not operating accordingly, right? But as a leader, you have to be willing to make some decisions, some hard decisions, and hard decisions on the spot, which means all of them may not always be the best. But I would say that we still need some people to do some things differently. And when we come together, and you ask who's doing this, it cannot always be about the deal. The deal are the people. And so you can expound on.
Well, I was going to ask you,
Yeah.
Erica, being around your mom and being in some of those rooms under the table at the council meeting and other places under the dais. I think my question to you is more so, have you seen, the leadership, kind of get sucked up in a vacuum and kind of somewhat disappear, as your mother began her career in politics and in public service to present?
Yeah, I do think we're missing some of those legends that were really steeped in the community, understood the policy and knew how to translate it to the power brokers. I think some of it is generational, where the younger, which is myself and younger, even younger, they are rattling the cages and they don't understand the way my mother's generation, others operate. They have trouble collaborating like we need to have a collective, direct agenda. And they maybe think that it's too slow. They're in the instant generation, but no legislation is instant. It's always been sausage. That's the way our government is designed. And so if you can't create an agreement on the progressive steps, then you're not going to have a collective agenda, because they're always, one side is going to say it's not enough, another side saying we have to do this, A, B, C, D, and E. So I would encourage those younger than me to realize that not everything is to stymie you, it's to stair step the ladder. And every now and then you can jump over, but our government's just designed for stair step progress.
And I think about this conversation that's been had all across the country about Project 2025. We keep hearing Project 2025. We need to stop Project 2025. And there's more conversation coming from those that are not promoting Project 2025, that are anti-Project 2025 about Project 2025. That's their agenda, put forth by the Heritage Foundation, the conservative group. They're talking about their agenda and not their own, or not our own, whatever that looks like. So, I think that it's important that a true agenda is developed. And I think about some of the things that I think, kind of come in the way in between us trying to establish a Black agenda, because most African Americans, like close to 90%, vote Democrat or members of the Democratic Party. They are registered Democrats, vote in Democratic primaries. And so with that, there's a true loyalty that African Americans have towards the Democratic Party. And with that, and that goes back to, John F. Kennedy and to present. But, I look at the situation where in the Democratic Party, there's so many groups within the Democratic Party. Like you say, everybody has their agenda. Where do we fall in the pecking order in the Democratic Party? We all have our issues amongst Black people as a whole, ourselves, but then we have to compete with everyone else who has an agenda. Whereas on the other side, it appears they have fractions, they have disagreements, but they seem to coalesce behind one agenda, whatever that is. If it's Project 2025, I remember when the Tea Party was at its height, they got behind, a lot of their push. What do we need to do to make sure our presence, not only amongst ourselves collectively, but within the Democratic Party, that our voices are heard and our agenda is heard there too?
A collective agenda. I mean, I know that sounds much more simple than it is, but some kind of way we have to sit in the space, in the rooms, and have the hard conversations. We have to close the door, lock the door, get off the phones, and talk about who is going to lead. That's why we didn't have 20 people running for one seat. Now, I'm not saying somebody's going to call like, Dr. Brayley, I can't believe you said that, because running is a choice, right? But I think to be strategic on who is best, sometimes it doesn't mean it's one person, it may be limited to 3. But it has to be who is ready in terms of relationships, who's ready with capacity, who's ready with competence. It's more than just running because it looks fun or it looks good, or you believe in one particular issue. We have to have the hard conversations, and it sometimes means that we have to make some choices that may not include everyone at the table in terms of leading, but have a platform, have policies that are including the community. And when we begin to be people-centered, then I think it helps us. But if we don't have the hard conversation, taking the time to really think about what are the most impactful things that are happening in our community, we're going to get lost. So in a Democratic, even whether it be the Harris County, in this case, Harris County Democratic Party, Fort Bend Democratic Party, Texas Democratic Party, we have to make sure that we are doing things on the front end. So we're being proactive and not reactive. We cannot continue to be reactive, which means if they don't give us money until after Labor Day. And someone said, well, what's Labor Day? Labor Day is that's the key, when Democrats will say, well, this is when ordinary people are really paying attention to what's happening politically in terms of who they're going to begin to vote for. So then we have to say, well, within the church, how do we connect all of these dots? How do they understand, for instance, Divine Nine, the impact that's having in terms of organizing right now? It's a reason why nationally Vice President Kamala Harris is moving forth in a way that many people did not expect. But that's because in our community, we know how to organize, and not because we just like it. Life in America has forced us to be able to organize. It has made us organize. We don't have a choice but to organize. If we can do anything else, we can send messages, whether it was through the spirituals, whether it was, hey, we're going to stay a little bit longer at church to have the church meeting that we can have. We understood how to do that. So for years, we've been doing it. So now you have a Black woman on the ballot, drop the mic. Because that's what we're going to do. We understand what our assignment is right now.
So is it really a drop the mic? Because, okay, when she becomes the president of the United States, yeah. Then what? Erica?
Then what? We can't stop organizing. I think that's what's happened time and again. We get that relief. And of course, it's a tremendous effort to get anyone into the presidency. And then we're thinking, they got this. Of course, she knows, our struggle, but we need to bring that exact agenda and utilize. We have a large Congressional Black Caucus, largest ever been. It'll be 63 to 65 members next session, which is, doing the math, maybe 30% of the Democratic side. We need to use those members, so they'll work from that angle, and then we can also work from her angle. But we can't let up just because she gets in there, and that's what's happened in other presidencies.
Speaking of the Congressional Black Caucus, your mom was the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, and was very, very active in the Congressional Black Caucus. You on the ballot this upcoming November to finish her term and to finish what she started. That has to be a very humbling yet surreal feeling. So can you share how you're feeling right now? You're the only Democrat on the ballot?
I am the only Democrat. 2 Republicans filed, and I want to thank the party and those who decided not to file because we need 51% of the vote so that we, the 18th congressional district can regain their vote in the House. And it is surreal. I know she would have loved to see it. She would have been running me hither thither, as she has in many occasions. But mainly she was a finisher. She always finished what she started the best she could. And so I'm honored if I get supported to finish for her the 118th Congress.
If you could just explain to people, because there's been a lot of confusion about, the replacement of, or her being replaced. And I've explained that on the show, but her being replaced on the ballot for November as the Democratic nominee for a term that will start January. And you're on the ballot to finish her remaining term. Can you just explain what you actually will be doing once elected in November?
Sure. I will be sworn in fairly immediately, and I will vote as she would have voted, supporting Democratic leader Jeffries. They will be finishing appropriations bills, any last minute attempts, what I hope will be the last of a Republican House to stymie Kamala Harris taking office. We will want to stop that. We will want to prevent bad things, but hopefully support the finishing of appropriations, which they have not been able to pass this entire year. And that's money for the 18th congressional district, for our city, for our communities.
Yes. So, I going back to the diversity, equity, inclusion thing, there's a lot of legislation driven at the state level to try to eliminate DEI. I just saw, even just here today, I read an article that, which is ironic and funny at the same time to me, and sad, that Jack Daniels has eliminated their diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. And it's ironic and funny at the same time to me, because Jack Daniels stole the recipe for the whiskey that they now promote from a black man, which is now a brand called Uncle Nearest. And so now you're saying no, that we're not going to create opportunities for those that have been disenfranchised for many, many years. And, just the whole irony behind that. And it's just a slap in the face, because I think a lot of people look at this as we're looking for some sort of handout. And it's not a handout in any shape, form, or fashion. We come from a history in this country of being denied opportunities from education, from business, from loans, whether it's redlining, all kind of things. And so what are your thoughts on this whole DEI elimination push?
It's not new. It's not new. And is it right? No, but there are a lot of things in this country that has happened that is not right. I think, again, collective agenda, but to be ready and to realize our history, that we have been doing the work. We will continue to do the work. I think that's even more why we have to start having these cross dialogues, that we look out for one another in a way that opportunities happen. I was looking at, there's a picture in the Barbara Joy Mickey Leland building at Texas Southern University. And in the picture is one of the documents that our late Congressman Mickey Leland is really, informing us about what they were doing at that time to take out Black education during that time frame. Mm-hmm. And now we're seeing that once again. I think we have to know our history, because it's true that history repeats itself. But also we have to know our history as Black people, that we not only survive, we thrive. Mm-hmm. And policies are actually created for us to be suppressed and oppressed, but some kind of way. So I don't know if it's through our grandparents' prayers, through the tears of their Black women, Black men, but some way we always prevail. And I think we have to know that. And that doesn't excuse, right, injustice and inequality and inequity. But the reality is, I think we have to know that we can and we will. Mm-hmm. And we have to make sure that we vote by any means necessary, and I think that's really important.
And I just want to add one thing America understands is the bottom line, and diversity can be its strength. And you look at certain capitalists like Mark Cuban who are leaning into diversity, and companies that refuse to get rid of their DEI or find ways to adapt the language, they are going to thrive. And I think at some point others are going to see that's what they have to do. And as you mentioned, Texas Southern, President Biden and Kamala Harris invested record dollars into our HBCUs. There have been major donations to the 4 Black medical schools. And so those institutions are going to be the foundation that continue to help our community move forward.
And I'd like to add to that, because I think, money matters. And we need to start taking a list. And we got, many of us like Jack Daniel. But if Jack didn't want to do right, then we have to go find something else. And we need a list.
I have a few names.
So let's drop it. But the reality, when you talk about a collective agenda, that's part of it.
Yes.
If you don't invest, if you don't believe in us, then you won't make the list. And rest assured, Black people spend money.
Yes, we
Sometimes money we may not have.
Trillion.
And you rest assured that if you're on this list and we are organized, we're not supporting your business.
Yes.
So I wanted to add that.
And prior to his death, in his, yes, give it up. Prior to his death, Dr. King did a major speech to which he challenged African Americans to withhold their dollars from certain banks, to not support certain businesses with their dollars in order to boycott, because of the fact that they were, in essence, they were supporting the oppression and the disenfranchisement of Black people. And the only thing that we had at that time, and I still believe we have now, to piggyback on your comments, are our dollars. We can choose where we spend our money. Nobody's putting a gun to our head saying, spend your money here, when we know that those individuals don't care about us. And so I think that it's very, very important, because going back to this Project 2025 conversation, one of the components of what they're trying to push and demand of their president, assuming that, they are elected. Well, no, I'm not going to even assume that. Their hope that they get elected is to eliminate DEI from a federal level. Right now, it's being done from a state perspective, state level, but they're trying, county and local, but they're trying to do it federally. And they want them to do it by way of executive order. And of course, if they were successful in gaining House, Senate, to do it from a legislative standpoint. And so I think it's very, very important. And they also want to attack Social Security, get rid of Medicare, Medicaid. There's so many things that they want to do to impede the ability for women to make choices with their bodies and various other things. So, we're in some dangerous, dangerous times. And like you say, if you don't know your history, you're destined to repeat it, good, bad, or ugly. And so, Erica, what can we do as non-elected officials? I'm an elected official, but I mean, those of us that are listening that may not serve in an elected office, that don't run campaigns, that are not involved in the political spectrum on a day-to-day basis. What can the average person do to, I think I know what your answer is going to be, but to deal with these attacks on African Americans?
Number one, voting. I have to start with but we have to get back to teaching ourselves and teaching our children, our elders, because some of it is just the lack of true knowledge. Like all that you said about Project 2025, what is the alternative? What is our history? How did we get to this point of Houston ISD being literally taken over in almost just a ridiculous way? I think we can use whatever, whether you're in the barbershop, beauty shop, hair shop, nail shop. These are times when you can have those casual conversations to strengthen the understanding, to motivate, and to know we can't stop. I wish a lot of communities, they have schools, but they do separate from the whatever public-private, they do their own schools. Chinese community has a Jewish community, et cetera. I wish we could do that in our community. It doesn't have to be spiritual, but we have to know our history so that we don't repeat mistakes of the past.
Great points. I know a lot of our churches have these schools or these programs. And like you said, it doesn't have to be spiritual, but I'm reminded of the 10-point program from the Black Panther Party. And a lot of people vilified the Black Panther Party as if they were a negative group, but they were so empowering and had a vision. And you talk about a Black agenda. They had a Black agenda for the improvement and empowerment of their community, but also to protect themselves from attacks outside of the community. So it was two 10-point focuses. But why is it that we can't embrace something as simple as the Black Panther Party's 10-point program?
Oh, that's a hard question for a longer. I think
I know
about
you're a
even-
history person.
Even
so.
the breakfast program, they don't get credit for that.
Yes.
But we have the breakfast program from the Black Panther Party that we know has proven to be effective for children to be able to really have, a sense of self and be able to focus during class. That's their program. Black Panthers, while they had some internal dynamics, they also still had women leadership. So it was inclusive in its own way. There are some critiques there, but it was still inclusive. But we also, we can't continue to do things and want credit for it, because Black Panthers also at that time, they didn't do that for credit.
Right.
They did that to serve the people.
Right.
And I just believe that when we create things that put people at the center, it does what it is supposed to do, and it sustains itself. And today we have to find a way to realize that it's just not about me or you. It really is about others and leading. And to bring the late Congresswoman, I have to say, in terms of just being the definition of a public servant, that's what we have to do. We have to meet people where they are. And not all of us are necessarily doing that. And she did it, and she did it very, very well. And when we do that, then we have the leadership that we need. And some of the things that she did oftentimes was not in the forefront. Mm-hmm. It was in the background, making calls that we will never know about. But those individuals understood what she was doing, and it showed up in the voting because they showed up all the time. We have to be able to be, really lead as a public servant does, and that's people centered.
And I think about, us as a people, we got to pick a fight, pick a side. I mean, you have someone like the Congresswoman who was everywhere, who supported so many causes, not only in the African-American community, but all communities, all efforts. And you hear these critiques, these negative critiques. Oh, she everywhere, or she show up to everything, or she always on the camera, in the camera's view, and But then you have people who completely disappear after they're elected. You don't hear from them or see
Absolutely.
them again until the next election time. And we keep electing them over and over and over again with no accountability. So what is it that we want? Do we want somebody that's going to be on the ground, being a champion and advocate for us present? Or do we want somebody that just sounds like, oh, I'll vote for them, or I see them on the billboard, or their name, or they took a picture with me, a selfie. I'm just trying to figure out, what is it that is important to Black people?
Black people want someone who's going to fight and someone who's going to champion their causes. And I can say, I don't know if Erica, we've ever talked about this, but late Congresswoman, she was the first person that made me understand the difference between a fighter and a champion, because they really can sound the same. Mm-hmm. But the late Sheila Jackson Lee was a fighter, and everyone knew it.
Yes.
You knew when she was coming in the room, I'm coming and I'm ready, because she was smart, she was savvy, she was strategic, she was on point.
Yes.
She also would champion a cause. Those are two different things.
Yes.
That you come, but at any point she was ready. And Black people want to win, and not just win for the sake of winning, but we finally want to be on a winning team. Who is going to win? Help us win. Who's going to fight? Who's going to champion the causes for us? And while I'm a social inequality person, I teach inequality. I mean, you talk about health inequality, you talk about economic inequality, but at some point, it has to be the person that is going to fight for Black people. Mm-hmm. And that's not to say that we're not fighting for others, But study after study shows that when we fight for Black people, others are helped. When you talk about the civil rights movement, that just was not a movement that helped Black people. Some people are still reaping the benefits of the civil rights movement that was built around the foundation of racism. But the reality is, we know that it impacts sexism. Now we see homophobia has been. So there are a lot of things, dynamics that came out of the civil rights movement that was pushed primarily from the Black community, but now that's across the globe, and it's still, people are still getting PhDs over studying the civil rights movement.
But Erica, do you really believe, yes, do you believe that we collectively appreciate those types of leaders? I mean, I know that there was a lot of love displayed during the week of celebration of your mom. Matter of fact, I was looking through some text messages from her and I prior to the election in March of her reelection for Congress, and I had asked her to come, or invited her to come out to our Omega Psi Phi scholarship fundraiser on the North Side, and she was like, "Yeah, I'll be there." I said, "Well," she said, "What time is it over?" And I said, "Well, it probably will end around 11 or 12. She said, "I'll be there." And she had been going all day long. She showed up around 10:30, and they were about to go into the main act, of performance. And she was like, "Well, I need to say a few words to the people before, you get into your program." And we obliged, and she got up on stage, said some words, and took pictures with all of the people. And to this day, they talk about that. They appreciated her for being there and showing her face, even for a few minutes, just to show that she supported and cared. Do we as a people really appreciate leaders like that? What do we want?
I think we sometimes don't know what we want. Her presence always had a purpose. She was usually pretty much almost always invited to countless funerals, reunions, birthdays, your panels, etc. And that's how she touched the people, communicated. Sometimes that's the only way people could give their constituent issue to her, because they just didn't know how to find the internet or find the phone number. She serves a district, some of it's very under-resourced, and they just don't understand government. But she said, "The more you see me, I am your government. You're touching me, you're feeling me, I am your champion." But at the same time, I would tell her, you're getting blamed for everything, because they only see you. You're showing at Houston ISD, you had no vote in that. You were not at state level, you never on school board. You're still getting blamed for it. You're getting involved in city issues because you always have a heart for that, starting on city council, but you're getting blamed for it. But she loved to serve, and she sometimes could resolve those issues, so she never stopped getting involved. And so that was her talent, and I don't ever want to take that away from her. But I do personally feel she was never fully appreciated for that breadth and depth of service.
I agree. I think right now it's time for us to take a break. Is that correct, producers? Okay, we're gonna take a break, y'all, and come back and allow our wonderful person that's putting this on, Danette Davis, come and share a few words and share some information. And we'll be right back with our guest, Erica Lee Carter, as well as Dr. Carla Bradley.
All right, during the break. Yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying what you were hearing. Oh my God. Wow. Erica Lee Carter, Dr. Carla. Dr. Carla Bradley. All right, y'all. You've been listening for the last hour. You know how it is. It's been a day. It's been an interesting day. I'm Danette Davis, and we're K Davis in the Community Foundation. We want to say we're trying to be relevant and be, we've got information, we've got art, we've got people. We're in Sunnyside, Texas on purpose, but we're here today. Honestly, I wanted to introduce Lauren Marshall. Lauren Marshall is with Kay Davis in the Community. Say hi, Lauren. Hi, Lauren. Hi. Hello, everybody. Okay. What we want you to know is Kay Davis in the Community is very serious about what we do. We're mind, body, and spirit, which means we with education, we offer scholarships, body, wellness, health, and that kind of thing. We're about the whole person. Spirit is our art. We love our art. And with that, because it's what makes us whole. But it takes a village. And so with that, we're going to say, if you guys are listening, you want to go to, oh, look who just walked through the door. See, we talk about mind, body, and spirit, and about a community. I made a phone call, and look who showed up. It's Dr. Shabazz, city council member. But Sunnyside is her area. These people are very serious about what they do. District D, the district of destination. All right, and she's here. See, now I've got to switch my whole thing up. We got Jolando Johnson back here playing. He's literally our music for tonight. Jolando is doing some things with the Crusaders. He talks about the fact that the Crusaders literally came out of Texas Southern University, and so did he, or what have you. What'd you say, Fifth Ward? Okay, you want to say a few words, just a few?
Sure. This year, some friends of mine, we put together a tribute band honoring the Crusaders. Crusaders are a iconic jazz group that grew up in Fifth Ward, and they spent time at Texas Southern University before they left for LA, and the rest is history. But these guys are legends. Wilton Felder, Wayne Henderson, Joe Sample, Stix Hooper. All of these guys made their mark in the music industry that's being enjoyed and felt all these years later. And I felt that it would be a good idea. Me and my friends, we just felt that we need to honor these guys. Because we, a lot of us as jazz musicians are standing on their shoulders. And I was listening to the music. I didn't even know who they were. I was listening because that's back when stations used to play instrumental music. So they would play things like Street Life and Keep That Same Old Feeling. And but I didn't know who they were until I got older and started studying jazz and found out about the Crusaders. But then it made it even more sweeter when I found out that they were from Houston. And so at that, I've been a lover of the music ever since. And we are planning to take this thing as far as we can take it. So keep your ears and your eyes open for the Crusaders experience.
All right. Jolando Johnson, he's one of our partners. Kay Davis in the Community Foundation has partners. We do what we do, but we can't do it without you. And so Jolando and his program and the things he's going to do with math and music is something coming up. And another one of our partners, you've been watching the video, this painting that's right here, and muralist.
Hello, everybody. My name is Samson Bimbo Adenuga. Yeah, I'm muralist and painter and also an illustrator, book illustrator. I've been able to, get a little, my works here and there. One in
he says a work here and there. This guy, he's doing a mural downtown Houston, on the Cotton Exchange building. He's done. You have an existing mural downtown.
Yeah, we're working on an existing mural downtown called "From Slavery to Freedom." We're having a picture of Harriet Tubman holding the cotton, plant, and we also have the map of Africa from the movement from Africa to the United States and the freedom map. I track how they got free and everything booked together.
Oh my, Rodney, see, Commissioner Ellis is at it again, right? Okay, it's going to be wonderful. One of the things I want to say, and you're going to be on our next session when we go back. When you go with Dr. Braley and Erica at the second session, what have you. I do want to say Now, I guess for those people that are here, we've got food. So you guys, you're missing. If you're in the audience and you're not here, it's all on you, right? Okay, so KDITC, K Davidson the Community Foundation, go to our website or what have you. If you like what we're doing, or what have you, raise your hand and donate or however you want to do it. Let us know, because we're here to stay. We're making a difference, okay? Is there, Dr. Shabazz, come over here, please, and say just a few words, because we cannot, we'd be remiss, like they say at church, if we did not. Please, thank you so much. Well, he's giving you your own mic.
Oh, am I singing?
All right.
What am I doing?
Thank
Hello.
you.
What am I
Hello.
doing?
I just want you to do what you do.
Oh, well, hello, everybody. Hey, Carla. A neighbor. Oh, Erica. What are y'all? So this is what the people are, the party people. Julian, you just left me. Anyway, I'm Council Member Carolyn Evans Shabazz, a council member for District D, what I call the District of Destination. And we're certainly in District D. Oh my God, I remember when you first started this building. This is fabulous. And I know the food is good. You can always count on good food. But certainly I'm glad to be here. I just left the Houston Black American Democrats fundraiser. Then I just got a text. I'm supposed to be at the University of Houston for just to try to get some volunteers for some of our events. It's just hard to remember it all. But anyway, I guess I'm where I'm supposed to be. And
Yes,
so
you
you got to be
are.
careful inviting me. I may show up, right? And so anyway, I'm here and with my Jack Ace brother over there.
Right?
JY for life. I know we're in Worthing territory, but y'all get over it. Get over it. I worked at Worthing for about 10 years, so I have a love for Sunnyside, certainly. And so, what am I doing?
Yeah, you're doing what you do.
That is?
And no, you're doing what you do. And I've not made a step with this foundation where I've not asked her to do something and she has not done it. We talk about Congresswoman Jackson Lee and how she was doing the things and just showing up and being, you see me and you know you got District D, or you have the 18th congressional, whatever. This is how she is with District D. It's the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
I literally texted her the last time and she's like, today, you want me there? Or you
There,
you
now,
my next
an hour
show,
later.
but
You
I'm
know.
here. But she's been here since we've been talking about all the things that we've done, from the George Floyd statue on to the unveiling that, and then the film we did. She was there. She's just and I remember honestly, Congresswoman Lee was there. She was just there. She's a few minutes. She had a few words, but she was there. And it
The
takes that kind of
Congresswoman was
leadership
everywhere.
everywhere.
She set the bar high. I mean, really, really, really. And I just she was so amazing. I mean, you are where? You going where? You doing what? And you have to do that. Why? But she was always there. And just, it didn't matter what it was, if it was community related and to help the community, she was there. I mean, I started out trying to keep the name of the school, Turner Lockhart, right? And we had a little rally, and who shows up? She was on her way to the airport. I'll never forget that. And she stopped to give a few words. When we got in front of the board, she sent a letter to the board telling them that they needed to keep the name of that school as Turner Lockhart. And trust me, I'm just like the Congresswoman in some ways. I have not given up on that name because that's the name that the community wanted. And we were totally just kind of cut out of it. But at any rate, it is what it is. But certainly, and we're trying to do some great things in District D, and I'm not going to talk about them yet till we can get them really, really going. But it's the Congresswoman gave on her earmarks, her last earmark, she gave $2.5 million to address food insecurity.
That's not small.
And because we're trying to do something really, really significant to help the community to perhaps be able to get food with dignity. In other words, people get in those lines and they get those boxes that have so much stuff you do not want or need, which is very wasteful. And so we're trying to establish something where people can go in and actually choose what they want for their families. And so that's what we're working on. So you all lift us up in prayer, because when you get governmental earmarks, you have so many steps and hurdles that you must climb. And so certainly I'm glad that my sister here, Erica, is going to be there. And then certainly following her will be our mayor, Sylvester Turner. And those are people I know that I can reach out to. That's what was important to me when they made a choice. I didn't have time to be caught up in those little games, you know, of who you like and don't like. That was all about District D for me, and not about me, you know, but the deal is I got to know that I can reach you when I need you and that you have the same heart. And so I just wanted to kind of share a little of that.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right. No, so perfect. Thank you so much for coming.
Okay.
You don't know what it means. So thank you. And we're going to let Yolanda take us home.
I'll sing the next time.
Oh, you're going to sing?
next
Well,
time.
I'm going to step down if you sing.
Oh, no. I'm going to step down before I sing. How about that?
We're going to let
Thanks,
Yolanda
everybody.
finish.
Have a good evening.
Yeah, and they're going to lock you up. Okay. All right. Thank you. Yolanda, take us home.
All right, everybody, we are back. You are looking at and joining us for Trending Tuesdays, the Trending Tuesdays podcast. We have a live audience. Give it up, live audience. All right, we're back with Dr. Carla Braley, Erica Lee Carter, and we've been joined by someone that was introduced earlier by Danette Davis. He is an artist. He's doing murals all in downtown Houston. Thanks to Commissioner Rodney Ellis's push to have public art displayed downtown, but more importantly, African American art, or African art. So we have joining us with this phenomenal crew of ladies. We have a gentleman that kind of, we bookend the situation here. We have an award-winning artist, painter, muralist, Samson Bimbo. Let me say the name. I was gonna say it right. Adenuba. He didn't think I was gonna say it right. Mr. Adenuba is here, and let's give him a round of applause for joining us today.
Thank you.
Just briefly, I'm sure all of us sitting here appreciate and love art. Have you seen many of his pieces downtown Houston?
Yes.
Yes, he's got some
Wonderful.
phenomenal
Great addition.
pieces that are on the sides of many of the buildings, a lot of the old buildings downtown. And again, this has been an initiative by Commissioner Rodney Ellis, Harris County Commissioner Rodney Ellis, to do so. So what got you into art? How did you become this famous award-winning artist?
Thank you. Well, this has started way back. I can't even remember how I got into art in the first place, because I just find out I could do it. I don't have nobody in the family like my uncles or anybody that could actually exemplify to say, oh, my uncle is in the family. But I don't know, it just came up. I just know how to do it. But what I found out is that, like as a kid, when you're angry, you want to go draw. When you're happy, you want to do it. And your drawings and what you do, your creativities kind of show the mood that you are at the time. And that's what I just discovered. I just grew into it. I don't know how it came. I believe God just packaged us with something. And that happens to be one of my superpower.
Yeah.
Like that.
Well, I have a superpower of singing. I'm just not going to display it this evening, for the sake of time. But nonetheless, how significant is it to have these murals displayed in downtown? How do you feel, one, as an artist doing so, and how significant is it for people to see your pieces?
Thank you so much. That is a great question, because growing up, being able to do, create, gives you a little bit of attention. People get into, wonder, oh, what you did is good and all that. And sometimes you think that's about everything. And then, of course, as you grow older, you want to think about money, like, you want to get things and stuff. Yes, art could get you that too. But beyond all that, I realize art is a universal language, and also art is a tool, for education, for recreation, also for redirection, and information and inspiration. So having art, all over town makes us to live with the art. So it goes beyond the aesthetics where I'm an exhibiting artist, so you have some of your art collected by, collectors, and they have it in their houses, and it only serves them. Whatever it is that you're talking about, it only serves them. Art is a language, it's a voice. So whatever we speak with what we create. So whatever things you're saying is only serve one person. But now if it goes public, it serves, the people. And my takeoff from all this is that being a public artist now gives me a room to serve more people and not to live wherever we are, wherever we live per time the same. And I'll enjoy everybody, not to leave the place the same, not to live, even if it's a smile, just do something to improve wherever you live or wherever you are, the people that meet you. That's what we do with the arts.
So right now, even today, you're working on a mural downtown. Can you tell us where that is and what you're doing on that particular piece?
So that we're working on From Slavery to Freedom. I'm working with an international artist from Denmark. I think it's French. His name is Victor Ash, and all these murals are coordinated by an organization called Street Art for Mankind. So if you Google Street Art for Mankind, you're going to see all these murals and all that. And we have a picture of Harriet Tubman. Every black American knows who Harriet Tubman is. And she's holding the curtain, which is a symbol of the work, the labor, and the sweat and the blood, of how the African American actually worked to till this land and to make the world gotten by whoever, but they worked and their blood was to build this nation. And then so you have Harriet Tubman with that, and but beside it you're going to see the map of the movement from Africa, to the United States and the freedom. So, but we're intending to use fluorescent colors for that, so that at night, if you flash on it, you can see the map of the freedom, how they get, out of, all around the slavery spots into freedom, and however everything went. You're going to see that. That's basically what I'm doing. Practically just yanked up from the wall. It was almost a 20-story building, and you know how it is over there. Rain came up many times, a few times today, but we're still doing it. It's something that we're to do. It's a commitment. It's a drive. It's vision. It's a goal, and we just keep doing it. I love what I do, and I call it the spider thing. So people wall to wall do what we love to do there.
Well, I know art is something very important to Commissioner Ellis. He's a collector of art, but to have you chosen, he clearly saw something in you, because he's not only chosen you once, he's chosen you multiple times to do murals. And I know one of the things, and I'm sure you have an appreciation for one of my favorite muralists, who is out of Texas Southern University, or at least a lot of his stuff was displayed there. He came to prominence after the Harlem Renaissance or World War II. I'm talking about John Biggers.
John Biggers.
And so what are your thoughts as an artist, a muralist, in comparison to someone like him? And, do you draw him as inspiration? And who else do you draw as inspiration? Yeah,
so art is such in this way that we draw strength and inspiration from ourselves. I call that the horizontal. Then from the people that are higher than us, I call that the vertical. So we draw inspiration from everywhere, from the environment and everywhere. And of course, names like John Biggers are names that inspire me as a Black artist, to do something great and to follow suit in that path, not just to draw it for aesthetics, but to do something impactful, to our community and to the people. And much more than that, I will tell you a little story of how I even came to Houston in the first place. So sometime way back, I had a show in South Africa, and a piece of my work was bought from South Africa. I don't know how it traveled to find itself to Houston and to the collection of Commissioner Rodney Ellis. And so I was in Nigeria, and then suddenly the phone rang, and there was like, "My name is Rodney Ellis," and I'm like, I thought it was a scam. You should understand. So I was like, "Yeah, right." I just answered him like shabby. Because I didn't count him like it was anybody. I thought it was one of them, trying to change their tongue and talk like somehow, So I guess he understood. He didn't get mad. So he called me about 2 weeks later. He said, "Go check my Wikipedia." When I checked the Wikipedia, I saw my painting behind him. I was like, "Whoa, what did I do?" But later that was how we got talking. And so he asked me if, whenever I'm in the US, I should step into Houston. So I said, "Okay, no problem." So I had something to do, a workshop and a show in California. So I just called him and he said, "Okay, I should fly into Houston." When I flew into Houston, I'd never felt like that, like in any city in the United States. But when I flew into Houston from the airport, I was feeling like I was home. It was strong. I adopt this, this thing that I do, this philosophy that I do. I try to be sensitive to in every place that I am. But from the airport, I was already feeling like I was in Lagos a little bit. Of course, the people are different, the architecture is different, but that was the energy I got. And I had to stay here for like about 2 weeks before I flew back to Los Angeles, went back to Nigeria. But I said in my mind, something said in my mind that if I ever have to live in the United States, I'll live in Houston. And so when the time came for me to come, to the United States or move to the United States, I came to Houston. And Houston has really done me well. It's been my canvas all this while. I've been able to have murals, not just in Houston, in Michigan, all over the place, in Los Angeles, everywhere. And I've been able to also do, in collaboration with Reginald Adams, I illustrated a children's book called Juneteenth, part of the original, artists that collaborated to do the Juneteenth mural in Galveston, which was commissioned the day that Juneteenth was signed into law as a public holiday. So it was very significant. And that brought about a lot of openings and a lot of things. And I've got 2 books now, on Amazon that I've illustrated. Children's book though, and yeah, it's all good.
And that's one of your pieces behind you, right?
I will, thank you.
Yeah. So what do you call that?
I feel honored. I call this mood. I was just looking at, the different kind of mood that the female go through, particularly when they're in the, different moods. And you can read a lot, you can do a lot, you can read a lot from, what they go through, and, and they go through a lot, So the different motifs says different things. That's just what it is.
Move. Now, I'm sure that goes for a pretty pity.
Well.
We can talk about it. Huh? All right. So listen, we're about to wrap up the show, and in doing so, I kind of want to just bring it back full circle. The Democratic National Convention just took place in Chicago last week, and it was seemingly 4 days of pure excitement for Democrats. Fired up and ready to go for the now Democratic nominee Kamala Harris. But you had a lot of speakers. And I wanted to kind of hear your thoughts of who inspired you, who stood out to you. For me, I must admit, the first lady, Michelle Obama, was memorable with her speech. And of course, Barack Obama talking about size, that was pretty funny as well. But the person that really, I don't know what it is about him, he always is just inspiring to me, and his communication and the things that he says that just leave something in me. Hakeem Jeffries, he has a bright future as the Speaker of the House. Come January, we're hoping and believing. I'm a proud Democrat. Just, I know this is not a political show, but I mean, we talk about politics. So, who stood out to you, Dr. Braley, and then we'll go to you, Erica.
Wow, I have to say the First Lady. I mean, there were quite a few, but do something. Black job.
Yeah.
She dropped the mic for me.
Yeah.
But I remember, our former president. Let's focus on we,
Yeah.
not I.
Yeah.
That's the collective.
Yes,
Again,
indeed.
in terms of making me think of that, I thought our former president was very presidential, right? I think to me, I almost see him as the father, so to speak, now that we look for what is he going to say? What is daddy going to say?
Mhm.
But, Oprah was very clear. She knew her role. She made it clear, I'm an independent. But right now, democracy is at stake. And so we have to choose right now who best represents our values. So she understood her mission, that she was reaching beyond people who already align with Democrats. And so I thought that she played into that role very well and presented the case of values. And the value right now is democracy is at stake. And I can go on, but
Yeah.
past.
Well, those were outstanding moments. I had the privilege of being in the room each of those nights, and it was just palpable, all the energy. So I'll just highlight a few that lesser known. I love the Exonerated Five that came with Reverend Sharpton, their overcomers and how they pushed forward through all that adversity and persecution that they experienced. And then there were two women, Senator Tammy Duckworth, who I rarely have seen walk. She usually does a wheelchair, but she tried to walk and show you that even with her physical challenges, she's still got a lot of fight in her for women. And Gabby Giffords, who survived a point blank gun shooting. And we want to stop the violence. My mom fought against gun violence her entire life. I will continue to fight for our children. And those were inspiring, other than the major players y'all mentioned.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to watch the Democratic convention by chance?
Oh yes.
And what stood out to you?
Well, for me, of course, the First Lady. She's always on point, always inspiring in her thought process and delivery. And of course, she's already shown, the family's already shown an example of excellence for the Black, and I identify with that.
Well, Hakeem Jeffrey said it best. Bro, we broke up with you already. We don't want you back.
Not at all.
That was amazing.
And I
So,
love the son.
Yes.
The vice president son. I mean, the
Tim Walz's son,
Tim
yeah.
Walz. I mean, the authenticity to see him, his reaction with his father on that stage. It represented love, and it shows why representation matters. It was so much about that I thought was a very loving representation, that we know that a man that has a relationship with his child in that way, that it was just like, that's my mentor, that's my dad, that's who you're gonna get if you vote, right? And that made me feel really good. I really like that moment.
Well, we have a job to do, a Black job and a white job and Hispanic job, an Asian job, a male job, a female job to do in November. And you saw today, it was announced by the governor of Texas that 1 million people have been purged from the voting rolls, with certain justifications given. And that's just the beginning. I did a story in the Forward Times. I'm the editor of the Forward Times, and I did a story just this past week or so about the purging of the list that people are on, the suspense list, and how people are, if you moved from a particular address and you didn't, refile, if you didn't vote in the last two state and/or federal elections, then you get on this suspense list, and you show up to the polls. You can still vote, but it's a process, and some people get turned away, frustrated, and so you would think that something as important as voting, you would give everybody access and make it easier, but they're making it so much difficult. So closing thoughts for the last couple of minutes. What, Erica, I know you're on the ballot in November. What do you encourage voters, registered voters, and those that may not currently be registered to vote to do?
You can register by October 6th. That's first. So if you've moved, it's safer to just re-register. Educate yourself. Yeah, we are Democrats, the big fabric, the multicolored coat, as my mother used to love and say. But investigate every candidate that you can. You don't just always want to blindly vote, because there are a few of us that I would probably push out if I could, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But generally, tell your friends, don't assume they're voting. Don't assume they know how to vote. They've changed locations sometimes by, not always to be sneaky, sometimes they just won't let us be there anymore. Know and have a plan and vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vote up and down the ballot. Local matters. And so if you only vote at the top, then while that's very important, then we miss what's happening locally in our community. So finish voting. And when you go, I'm loving that we go to vote, but this is not the vote that you can go alone. If you go, you need to make sure you bring 10 more people with you. You need to make sure that whatever organization that you are a part of, that they have a voting plan. Be clear about that. This is an operation, and we have to be ready. And we're not going to win this individually. We will win it as a collective, but we will win.
Yeah.
And I have to say, one of the questions that I'm hearing is, can she win? Yes, she can. With you. We did it with Barack Obama. People ask that same question twice. So let's not ask that question anymore. Yes, we can.
Absolutely. All right. Any thoughts?
Oh, yes. Well, you have the right. Use it right. Just use it right. Do what's right, what's going to improve our lives as a collective, not just, what's going to improve our life. Just do that. Don't assume everybody will do it, other people will do it, and then complain that something is happening. No, just do what you got to do. Even if it's just move a finger, do the right thing.
All right. All right, y'all. We want to thank our special guests on today, Erica Lee Carter, Dr. Carla Braley, and of course, we have our wonderful artist. I want to get your name right this time. Like I said, Mr.
Samson Abimbola Adenuga.
Yes, Abinu. All right, thank you, sir. All right, and we're going to let Jelando Johnson take us up out of here. TSU's on. Jelando Johnson, thank you so much. Kay Davis, KDITC in the community. I think she has some words.
I do.
Okay, come on.
I just want to know. I just really want to thank can we give another hand? We have an audience that's here for our host. It's the host with the mostest, or what have you, Jeffrey Boney, what have you, Dr. Carla Braley, Erica Lee Carter, and Samson. I'm going to say Bimbo. I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name because I don't want to mess it up.
Adenuga.
He didn't talk about that mural that I partnered with the county on, but Worthing High School, which is how I met him.
The Stop Gun Violence mural.
Stop the gun violence is what it was about. So we always want to make sure that we're on point with what's right for social justice. We are in the sunny side. So I want to thank everybody. It's been a pleasure. And for those that are in the room, if you like the food, there's a little sign over there that says tip the chef. Okay, good night. Thank you.
Great job.